As you all know, the Democrats, through President Otto Penn, imported millions of unvetted illegal aliens into the United States across the southern border by airplane and through permissive and childish visa policies. Indeed, in 2025, the U.S. has experienced several significant terrorist attacks, including a vehicle ramming attack in New Orleans that killed 15 people and injured 57. Crazed, known left-wingers showed up at the nation's capital, gunning down 2 Israeli embassy workers. And the most recent example, a targeted terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, where an illegal alien armed with a makeshift flamethrower and more than 16 Molotov cocktails harmed 12 Americans. When confronted with their role in unleashing this 100% avoidable death and suffering on Americans, the leftists responded this way. The Democrats blame terrorist victims, a stunning display of chutzpah by the American left in today's preamble. In the wake of the latest Democrat-enabled terrorist attack on American soil, Democrats took to the airwaves to blame all of you and your rights for the carnage Democrats caused. This is the abuser blaming the abused. So Democrats would have to go onto a platform that hates Americans every bit as much as they do. That network was MSNBS. Not only were Democrats allowed to blame the victims, they were allowed to push their narrative with no pushback from the MSNBS hosts. Remember, this story is about an illegal alien terrorist let into America by Democrats and allowed to stay despite an expired visa by Democrats who shouted free Palestine and told authorities of his desire to kill and see all Zionists dead. Here's leftist Jamie Raskin with his reaction.
Across the country, we are still in the midst of a gun violence epidemic.
Wait, let me get this straight. A Jew hater shows up with huge numbers of Molotov cocktails and a flamethrower, sets people on fire who are showing support for Jews being held captive by Hamas, and Democrats say your Second Amendment right to self-defense is the problem?
So we need to be acting with due concern for human life. I mean, this is why, of course, we have been fighting for a universal violent criminal background check. We are for a ban on military-style assault weapons in the country. Our lax gun laws are a danger to everybody.
What? Wait a second. Our Second Amendment is a threat to everybody. But you Democrats letting criminal illegal alien gangs, sex traffickers, and terrorists break into our country is not a threat to everybody. Hello, evidence to the contrary. Let's leave aside that Raskin lied about accessibility to so-called military assault-style weapons, access most Americans don't have without massive paperwork and huge amounts of money. Just how does a Democrat show up on the leader of hate on cable and comment about a terrorist attack conducted with Molotov cocktails and a flamethrower and end up blaming Americans' right of self-defense with guns? Either Mr. Raskin is a Class A moron or a dishonest con man. In short, folks, Democrats are saying, elect them so they can flood America with terrorists, and they're also saying, elect them so they can disarm all of you Americans so we can't fight back against the terrorist Democrats allowed to invade our country. I mean, there's a reason why nobody in Boulder, Colorado in that mall was armed to put a bullet in that psychopath terrorist. It's because Colorado and Boulder are run by left-wing loons who seem to have no regard for how many dead Americans pile up under their nutty policies. Here's what Raskin and Democrats are desperate to avoid talking about and being held accountable for. The National Counterterrorism Center identified at least 600 individuals with ties to terrorists who came through our borders illegally, claiming asylum, and under the Biden-Harris regime were paroled into your towns and cities. In the meantime, they were given Social Security numbers, driver's licenses, work permits, and state and federal benefits. And now, through judicial tyranny, leftist judges are subverting the U.S. Constitution by claiming that the executive branch, populated by the America First coalition, can do nothing to stop the harm leftists in this country have determined you and your family deserves. How do they justify all this? Well, a longtime aide to Joe Biden admitted that White House staff felt justified doing, quote, undemocratic things, end quote, during the reign of President auto pen because leftists claimed President Donald Trump posed an existential threat to Democrats turning America from a constitutional republic into a direct democracy. It's the age-old cry of the oppressor, folks. Democrats say that they have what they call democracy. They got to save it by denying their own kind the vote, and then trying to tell Republicans who they can and can't vote for. Democrats violate the law, and they say to save the law. Democrats abuse you and your rights to save you. At least that's what they claim. In truth, leftists operate in their own selfish interests, and they're willing to sacrifice other people's lives, yours, to achieve their goals. It's why Jamie Raskin can jump on a national left-wing network and blame your rights and freedoms for terrorist attacks that he and his Democrats foisted upon this country. MSNBS and the left-wing press won't push back on this idiocy. Neither will select Republicans. I guess it's up to you and me to do so. You know, folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.